Apple wasted no time getting its first beta of iOS 10.1 out the door, and it features an upgrade to the camera functionality that was shown off at the announcement called Portrait Mode for iPhone 7 Plus. This utilizes the dual camera setup on the back to allow for bokeh effects that simulate shallow depth of field effects that can be executed on larger format DSLR cameras. And yeah, so there's a video on the article that we have here from Mac Rumors where they're kind of showing it off. One thing I really like about this implementation is because I've definitely seen the dual camera bokeh effect thing on a decent number of Android phones at this point to mixed results. But what I like about what we're seeing here is it's not an after the fact effect processing. It's all kind of done in real time. So when you enter into the mode, the image on your screen gets a little bit larger because it switches to that lens in particular. And then it's using the other lens for kind of the depth information, and you were able to preview it in real time as you're taking the picture and kind of see what the effect is, and that's a really great way to do it.
Yeah, Leo calls this Bokeh. He says it's not real bokeh.
Oh, Bokeh?
Yes. So I took a picture with my iPhone 6S a couple weeks ago, and I just, you tap on the screen. It was like, I tapped on the screen at the object that was in the foreground, and it looked just like that. I posted on Twitter. I was like, what's the difference here? And many people, including Alex Lindsay, who, is a photographer, said this, you can take it from further away. Like right. I was very close to an object and, tapped on it, and then it made that cool effect on its own, essentially. But yeah, that's basically, you can be further away and it'll do it. Mike Hurley from Relay FM, he's been trying this out too and has some really cool photos that he's taken. He also is not a photographer, but he's coming to fill in for Leo on iOS today on Monday. And so we'll talk a little bit more about how that works, because sadly I do not have my iPhone yet.
One thing that I notice on these in all implementations, and including these, because I was getting some of these photos and really kind of zooming in on them, is that you get where you see it fall apart, and it's only if you're really scrutinizing it, usually, unless it's done really badly, is on the edges of the foreground versus the background image. When you really kind of get in there, and this is kind of like a side-by-side with an actual DSLR, so you can kind of see the edges, right? Like they kind of get a little blurry around the edges, and that's kind of like that's the switch-over point from the in-focus foreground to the out-of-focus background, and there's like a little transition that happens there. Whereas on a true DSLR like this, you can actually see it. It's super sharp around those edges, so you definitely get that even with this implementation. But I mean, the effect is still well done. I think. I think it's executed well on the iPhone.
And it's harder to put that DSLR in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. This gives you that option at least while you're at the club. Or wherever you happen to be.
Up at the club.
You're not going to take a DSLR to the club, are you? Are you that kind of clubber? I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm sure there are some clubbers that take their DSLR to the club.
I love your club hands. You're like, the club.
Club. Oh.